around 10 months ago. To call Michael a martial arts enthusiast would be an understatement. I've got a great friend of mine, Terence English, who's one of my greatest inspirations, who's also a martial arts just addict, junkie. And I said to Terence, I said, who can you recommend someone inspirational to talk to? And he recommended Michael. Last time I spoke with Michael, he had certain goals. And yeah, so we're very lucky to have Michael join us. How are you, mate? You good?
Good, man. Good to be here. All good.
Mate, the pleasure's mine, honestly. Michael, just there's two things that stuck out for me in particular. Can you tell me about the training that you did? We were speaking about it yesterday. Tell me about the training you did to get that qualification. Explain what it is, and then tell us
Grading.
Yeah.
The grading. So to get your black belt in Kyokushin, it's pretty intense. It's definitely one of the more harder pursuits. Like, it's a fairly full-on martial art. So
what's Kyokushin?
I don't know.
What's
that?
Kyokushin?
Kyokushin is what I do, man. It's a full contact karate. So it's like a stand-up based karate, but it's renowned to be pretty brutal. Yeah, it's like they call it the strongest karate. But yeah, so to grade for my black belt, I graded with Terry. It took 5 or 6 hours in total, and you just go through everything. You do a lot of calisthenics, and basically they wreck you at the start, and then you go through the curriculum, and then you finish with 40 full contact fights in a row. So yeah, the last one I did, which I was talking to you yesterday about, was 20. So it was a lot easier. It wasn't easy, but it was, I didn't have to deal with the 40, but still.
Yeah. Are you allowed to, so when you say 20 fights, in those fights, are you allowed to kick people in the head?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably, compared to like when I fight in competitions, they don't look after your body. They smash your body to bits. It's like a test of resilience, really. Like, so they beat you really badly, and to show that you're like, I don't know, to show that you're worthy of having a black belt, basically, you sort of just survive. You just keep fighting, basically, because after 5 hours of training, even the first fight, you're wrecked, basically. So, yeah, they do kick in the head in the gradings, but like, I don't know, they look after you. Like, if you're completely wrecked, they'll drop you with leg kicks and body shots rather than knock you out, because if they knock you out, your day's done and you won't pass, basically.
Yeah. So when you first did it, because it's the second time you've done it, the first time you did it, or the first time you fully practiced for it, do you feel like giving up?
Nah, not really. Like, I've trained for, when I went for my black belt was, I think 4 years ago. Like, my last one was obviously recently. So 4 years ago, I would have been training for 8 years, and I'd done heaps of gradings leading up for all the other grades. So it's like a gradual, incremental build up. And I also fight like a lot. So I'm used to training hard, and it was just a hard day at the office. I don't know. It wasn't, no, I don't ever feel like giving up. The last one that I did, I actually enjoyed it. I was training for other fights and stuff, and I had good energy, which is unusual to be fighting at the end of the grading and still be smashing people. So it was sort of good.
Yeah. This mental or intestinal or testicular fortitude, this mental toughness and grit, and I talk about it a lot, not just with martial arts, but I talk about it with any kind of goal setting. Is this something that you can learn over time? Are you born a warrior or a savage, or is it something that can you develop this mental toughness over time?
Absolutely, you can develop it over time.
Yeah.
I trained in Mount Gambier for 5 or 6 years, and that was awesome. Got like really technically very sound and fought a little bit. But when I moved to Gippsland, and I live in Melbourne now, but when I moved there, I was thrown into a club full of killers, basically. Like, they're all big. Like, Terry used to train there. My best mate, Dave, like, there was hard dudes. And since then, I've always trained at places that are just quite full on, and you build resilience all the time. So my conditioning and my mental fortitude's gotten, very strong over like a gradual process. I think I always had a bit of mental toughness, I don't know, in footy and athletics and stuff. Like, always wanted to push really hard, but I think you can definitely build it. It's just through practice. It's like a muscle. Your brain's like a muscle.
Yeah, and can you tell us the story again about that when you fought the world champion in Kyokushin? And by the way, just go into YouTube, anyone that's watching, and just YouTube Kyokushin world champion fight or something like that, and you'll have a look at these guys. These guys would have to have the strongest, most conditioned bones and rib cages. It is absolutely savage. I mean, some of Terry's fights, and if you can send me some link afterwards, and I'll post it on the video, and when I re-edit and repost this, I'll put some videos on there. Maybe I'll get Charles to overlay it. Tell us about that fight, because, I mean, stories stick with anyone. Tell me, can you just take us through again that fight with the head and all that kind of thing? And yeah.
Okay. So that particular fight, that was a big fight. Like, it was in Melbourne in front of lots and lots of people, which I've done before. I've fought big fights before, and I was coming off of winning the Asian Pacific title, so I was feeling pretty good about myself. And then I fought all of us. So it was in Australia versus Japan fight night. They basically picked the best fighters from Australia, and Japan brought a team over, and my instructor in Melbourne put the show on. It was a big show, and we all got messed up. And I was very confident, but not overconfident, but I was feeling pretty good. And I didn't go that long. Like, even in the fight, might have gone for a minute, doubt even a minute, maybe 30 seconds or 40 seconds. And I was moving okay, got out of the way of a good kick. I realised pretty quickly that the guy hit pretty hard and knew what he was doing. And then, he kicked me in the head with a kick that I've been practicing it, but it was like a pretty crazy kick, and it was really quick. And I just, woke up on the ground. It wasn't too bad. Like, it wasn't I've seen a lot worse knockouts. Like, I woke up on the ground pretty much, and I was okay. I got back up and wanted to keep fighting, and I was sort of wobbly, and they were like, nah, you're done. But
Wow.
I've seen a lot worse.
So these fights where, I mean, what a, it's a potentially very discouraging thing when you it's not kind of like life in a way, like the Rocky quote. You get knocked down, you can either get discouraged. How did that, do you take more out of a fight like that where you get knocked out, or do you learn more from a fight where you win? What's your mindset on it? Does it discourage you? Does it make you want to quit? Tell us about that.
No, that definitely doesn't make me want to quit. It's just the fight game. If you fight for long enough, you're going to get knocked out. Well, unless you're very, very special. But I was pretty disappointed and disheartened and whatnot, but more so just because it's a bit embarrassing. Like, it's hard to explain, but I don't know. You're in front of a lot of people, and it's on TV. Like, it's all like there'll be videos and stuff of it out, and just hadn't happened before. I'd done it to people before, but I don't know. It wasn't too like I was my trainers, my friends are awesome. Like, Terry was there. He's a doctor, so he was sort of looking after me. I had other mates fighting straight afterwards, which I just went out and helped them, sort of coached them, and it's a pretty good community like that. And then like I went to training the next day.
Wow.
Just went to training, and I don't know. It's probably in some ways it's sort of like you realise that getting knocked out isn't that bad. It's like it doesn't hurt very much. You don't really feel much of it. It just is what it is. It didn't really bother me. I've fought since then. I've fought since and come back strong. So it's all good.
And you took some time off after that, just neurologically let yourself recover. Is that right?
Pretty well. I was meant to fight in New Zealand 2 weeks after or something stupid. I tend to back fights up on short notice, which is, yeah, I was meant to fight in New Zealand, but I just pin on it, basically.
Yep.
I probably didn't have too much, like, it really wasn't that bad a knockout. There's a lot worse, but just talking to Terry and a few other people, they're just like, man, it's not worth it. You don't want to get clipped again.
My coach, my Muay Thai coach, and he's an MMA fighter. He says that, you know, you want to you don't want to damage the hardware. You want to upload, you want to input software without damaging the hardware, because your body's a very sacred instrument. Even though it is adaptable, there's only so much, a body can take. And you know what, I'm going to, just on top of what you're saying there, you say, it could be embarrassing. I think the reality is that in life you can be a spectator or you can be a gladiator. And the losers will sit and spectate, judge. And I don't think, I think anyone with any kind of reasonable degree of rational thinking would never look down upon you like that. They respect any person that's worth respecting will look at that and have respect for the gladiator getting into the ring. So I just think it's a tremendous effort to just get in there and give it a crack. Whether you lose, win, draw, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're in there giving it a crack, and at the end of the day, no one else is. And it's a scary, bloody thing to do, to get in there and put your hardware on the line, and you're in there giving it a good old crack. And I just think anybody that's got the testicular/intestinal/mental fortitude to do that it's tremendous amounts of respect. And that coupled with that grueling grading process that you spoke about, I mean, that sticks out to me. And anyone can talk and say this and that, but you're being anyone can spectate. Everyone can be an expert in the grandstands, but you're actually in there giving it a crack, and credit to you. How are your goals going at the moment? We spoke 10 months ago. We spoke about your goals, and we spoke about how you document your goals. You said you write it down on a whiteboard. I mean, you've got it, and you've got it in your background there. I love it. Tell me about your goal setting at the moment and how your goals have changed in the last 10 months. And what's changed? How's your mindset changed? And tell me about your steps, your long-term goal, your day-by-day steps to get there.
So probably you prompted me a little bit, because I take photos of my whiteboard, and because I change it, I've only got 2, so I'd not change the goals, but change what I put on the whiteboard, whether it's ideas or, at the moment up there, I just do it every day. I do it every night. I write out my tasks for the next day, so I can cross them off to get them done, basically.
Me too. Yep.
It works good.
Right. Yeah, but, you have to. Yeah. If you want to achieve big things, grand things. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
So you probably prompted me a little bit. I had a look through my list from last year, and it's kind of funny. I think when you're caught in the moment and you're doing stuff, you don't feel like you're achieving things. And then when you look back at what you wrote down, I was like, I've actually done the majority of them. So, which is good. Like I looked back through, I had written on that list, which I showed you, to win an international tournament, which I did. Some of them haven't quite got there. Like I had speak 2 different languages. I've learnt one, and I'm doing lessons in the other one. So that's good. It's sort of all good. A lot of I've still got the main ones, which are win a world title, which is in 2022. Like I would have had a shot at a world title again this year, but because of COVID, it got cancelled. So that one's no good. As far as fighting MMA, like I've signed up for an MMA fight, but again, it's just I'm waiting for the stuff to get finished. I graded to that knee down, like I was saying. Ones that I haven't done yet is like the MMA one, and probably, I don't know, like I'm pretty comfortable with my job at the moment, and feel like I'm actually getting a lot better at it, which is sort of cool. Like I'm enjoying it and stuff, but I'm also trying to do like trying to build a bit of a side hustle. I have this, probably the biggest thing that's changed in the last 10 months is I've got a little bit more direction about what I want. And that's probably just in like 5 years, not immediately, but build something where I can work remotely. Like my girlfriend lives in Spain. She's trying to get here. But if everything works out with her, like I might end up going to Spain, or I'd like to go to live in Thailand for a bit. I've done that twice, but I lived there for a fair while, like a year or something, and train, or
Yeah.
Amsterdam because there's good kickboxing there.
Yeah,
But so I'm sort of just trying to, I don't know, man. I'm doing a bit of everything at the moment, trying to I don't know, build my skill set so that I can build my own little business slowly, and then eventually transition into something like that. So that's probably the only real change. I had that written on my goal board, like I had to build my own business, but the part about working remotely probably has been highlighted a little bit.
Well, I'll start. Just, do you mind if I make a couple of comments? Is that okay?
Go for it.
Well, firstly, what I like about the diversity in what you're doing at the moment is that it breaks things up. I'll give you an example. I do my martial arts training, and then I go to work and I do something dental related, and then I'll study, I'll do a bit of reading. And when you mix things up and you divert, it breaks the day up a bit, and it almost gives you a bit of a rest. You're keeping a healthy body, there's no doubt, and that will also help keep you a healthy mind. So I really like that diversity, and there's no reason why you can't do all of the above. 24 hours in a day is a tremendous amount of time, and you're doing it. I mean, the night before, you're planning your schedule, you know what I mean? You're keeping things efficient. I mean, the amount of things that you can get done in 24 hours is ridiculous. It's absolutely, I mean, sometimes I look at my days, and if you do that cumulatively over time, you look back after 12 months, and I'm sure you're doing it, and you think, holy shit, the amount of stuff I've got done in the last 12 months is absolutely ridiculous. And it is. And I mean, even more so, let's say your days are that jammed up with everything back to back to back. Every minute's accounted for, even overflow. At that point, you're probably earning enough income where you can actually delegate some of the tasks off that you don't actually have to do. And you just stick to the things. Like, no one can go and do your martial arts for you. That's something you have to do, but you could delegate off other certain tasks, or with your learning, you could get someone else to set. I'll give you an example. For my dentistry, instead of me going online and finding things, I get people to send me emails now with dot points. Bang, bang, bang. Send me a dot point. I just want to learn one thing every day. They don't have to do everything at once, but cumulatively over time, doesn't have to be 5 hours a day, 5 minutes a day, cumulatively over time. And perhaps you'll be able to retain information a lot better if you do it in little bite-sized chunks, small steps. Start off with small steps, and then eventually, if you want later on, you can build up to something. But just that little baby step forward, and I love that. Over to the business side of things, the remote aspect, love it. I mean, I'll tell you why I love remote working. Overheads, minimal overheads, maximal flexibility. It's almost like the ultimate dream, and it's totally possible in 2020. And the reason why is because we've got access to technology, and we're very connected to everyone. We got Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, Facebook call, instant delegation. 30 years ago, we couldn't run 4 companies at one time. Last year, I was running 3 companies at the same time. Totally possible. And the reason why is because we've got instant delegation. Example, I mean, you had to send 30 years ago, you have to send off a letter. Someone would come around with a horse and cart, pick up your mail and deliver it. Take you 2 weeks for a response. You get instant responses now. Things can happen quickly. Delegation can happen cheap with outsourcing, offshore outsourcing. You delegate it, use, websites, fiverr.com, fiverr.com. Fantastic resource. Airtasker, tremendous resource, particularly if you're looking for someone with stronger English skills. These types of things, you can sub-delegate. Virtual assistants, tremendous tool. If you want a virtual assistant, someone you can just click. I do all my business via WhatsApp. Get to use WhatsApp. All my businesses, bang, bang, everything's one directional. Voice memo, do this. I don't even type my own emails anymore. Transcribe, do this, bang, quick, click of a button. These types of tools allow you to work remotely, maximal flexibility, and allow Michael Dent not only to have an income and do many, many different tasks over such a new word I learned, eclectic mix of fields, but it also allows Michael Dent to focus on only things he can do. Anything that he can delegate,
Yeah.
he does. He's got his source of income. He's got a reasonable source. He can pay for his overheads. Doesn't need to pay for an office. That means more income. If he spends money in a wise fashion, watches what he spends, doesn't live beyond his means, so to speak, he can delegate more time for himself. And you know what? When Michael Dent does that, and he has more time to do things that he loves to do, like martial arts, guess what happens when Michael Dent goes back to work? He's refreshed. He's rejuvenated. I work 3 days a week. And then when Michael Dent goes back to work, he might even work less. But you know what? Michael Dent's all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. When Michael Dent goes back to work, he's refreshed. He's an exciting individual. He's got things going on. He's not overworked. He's not tired. He's an exciting guy to talk to. And because he's exciting to talk to, he's got things going on other than work. Clients are interested in him. He builds more rapport. He's got more stories to tell. That builds his clients. And it actually helps catapult his day-to-day job. And what does that mean? More productive, more money for Michael, more chance of a promotion. You know, you have a look at Sweden. You look at Sweden. They work 4 days a week now, less hours a week. Same amount of productivity. You don't have to work 12 hours a day. You can get the same amount done in a minimal amount of time. But it's about working smart. You got to work hard, at least in the initial stage. But it's about working smarter as well. And how do you work smarter? You do what Warren Buffett does. What does Warren Buffett do for 80% of the day? 80% of the day, he spends his time reading and learning. He doesn't just read and learn for the sake of it so he can just sound smart and, or look how clever I am and collect degrees. He does it because he might pick up one little, you know what, Mike? You pick up one thing a week. One thing's all you need to absolutely change the landscape and the way that you operate as an individual. You pick up one thing to improve your quality of life, to improve your productivity, and the amount that you can cram into one day and still maintain that quality is game changing. And you know what? Everyone, COVID, watch the news, Black Lives Matter, all this toxicity. You know what I mean? Forget about that. I'm telling you right now, anyone that's watching, you're in 2020.
I don't watch the news.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't because you're a winner. We're in 2020. And there's never been more opportunity in the history of man than 2020. And I don't care what anyone says. Do not care what anyone says. I'm adamant and arrogant about that fact. And I mean, this is a fantastic example. Look at the eclectic mix of tasks that you're cramming into one day. You're a highly functioning individual, and anyone that's watching, it's very, and that dream that you have, that wild dream that Michael had 10 months ago, world champion, learning 2 languages. I mean, look at the things that you're learning, bro. You know what I mean? Like the things you've done it hasn't even been 12 months. It's been ridiculous, the amount of productivity. And you know what? The good news is that there's still room to go to that next level. Let's stay humble and hard on ourselves. Let's keep trying to learn. And remember, you don't know what you don't know. Let's feed our informations. Let's feed our brain. Let's purge. Let's have these really succinct checklists. And you know what? As an example, let's say you spend a lot of time on social media, Michael. Consider purging who you follow. Why don't we, all right, let's say you do use social media like me. I use it quite a lot. Not that I'm advocating that, but let's say that you do. Let's make sure that when we use social media in the right fashion, let's purge the crap that's feeding our brains. And why don't we follow things that feed our brain, that help enhance our quality of life? Because the goal at the end of the day is to live a better quality of life. And how do we do that? One way certainly is to set goals. And why not set big goals? And the more we learn, as you know, the more we earn. The more we learn, the more we earn. So it's a recurring, positively upward spiral. And I'm just that's my input there. Sorry to be so verbose, but I mean what I say, and I'm an example of that. And so are you, my brother.
I would say as well as that, when you're talking about your social media context, like I don't actually. I go on Instagram because I like looking at photos. That's about it. But I don't use Facebook. I've got Facebook, but I use Messenger, but that's about it. But in a similar sense, like you were saying, to make sure the stuff that you're following on social media is positive. I've found I've been having discussions with a couple of mates recently. My friendship group, I might have 1 or 2 people in my entire friendship group that are negative. Like every single one of them are positive, and out trying to achieve stuff. Like, and I think that has a pretty big impact on people. Like, if you surround yourself by people that tell you can't do things or that aren't trying to do things, that it obviously, all of that input, unless you're really resilient, you're going to get brought down by it. But I sort of just make sure that I surround myself by people that are having a crack. And it's been very positive so far.
Before I head off, I know you got martial arts very soon. I want you to talk to Michael Dent. Oh, firstly, just for the record, anyone that's watching, I just want to state for the record, Michael Dent is an ordinary individual. He does extraordinary things. But when Michael Dent was at high school, he wasn't a high performer. He was a mediocre performer. Anyone that's watching, don't ever look at me and look at Michael Dent to think that we're superhuman. You are very capable of greatness, if not more capable of greatness than me and Michael. These are things that you can develop over time. You can develop that mental grit and hardness, and with the right resources and mentors, you can also be great. Look up a YouTube video, Elon Musk, you can also be great. Tremendous video. But I just want to say that don't ever be discouraged when you look at us. I mean, we're a bit older than some of you younger individuals. But Michael, I want you to have a chat to that younger, I want you to have a chat to the Michael Dent 5 years ago or 10 years ago, or I want you to have a chat to any of these young individuals watching. What messages or what wisdom or advice do you want to deliver to these younger individuals? And I want you to give it in its most succinct, distilled and crystallized format. Can you just give a few words of advice on how people can live their best quality of life? And any myths?
Okay, so one of them would be exactly what you said. I would say aim high, because if you aim high and you get somewhere near the mark, even if if you're aiming high, really, really high, and you only get halfway, you're still going to be achieving. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to set your goals pretty high, basically.
Big time.
Apart from that, I mean, just have a crack at everything. Like the job that I have now, which is a really good job, high-paying job. The way that I got it was literally volunteering for a youth ambassador program. Like, that's how I got this job. I did that, met people, got along with people, and then got offered a job. It's the same with fighting, basically. Like, if I never had the kahunas to jump on the mat in the first time, or even go in and be humbled, which martial arts schools do, you know, I got humbled for like 5 years every single time. Like, unless you actually have a crack, you're not really going to achieve very much. And I don't know, apart from that, the only thing I really do is I think I'll look back and be happy with what I've done. But even now, like, it's sort of not enough. Like, I just want in some ways that's a bit toxic, because you're not always that happy, because you're just trying to push for the next thing. But like if I win, when I won which was a year ago in Myanmar, like, I think I was happy for a couple of weeks or a week or something, and then sort of just get back and try to get on to the next thing, really. That's all I've done.
I think that's super healthy, bro. I think pat yourself on the back, but not too much. Be your own harshest critic, but don't be too hard on yourself. Have a nice balance. You know, if you ask yourself the hardest questions and you're your own devil's advocate, there's nothing anyone can ever say to offend you, because there's nothing you haven't already asked yourself. And if you stay humble and you realize that there's always another level you can go to, then that keeps you humble and it keeps you hungry. When you start to, I'm the man. I'm the man now. Hey, I've been in many positions where I could easily sit back and go, I'm the man, you know, in whatever aspect. But it's not about that. When you get to that mentality and you start achieving great and big things, you don't need the credit. It's Michael Dent v. Michael Dent. And that's why I love you, brother. That's why we're connected, my brother, because we're two winners, and I love your work, my brother.
Oh, good. No worries, man.
Bro, I love talking to you, man. And I'm going to make sure Terry watches this. He's another animal, an A grader.
He certainly is.
He is.
As many sleepless nights as he's been having, though. He's been telling me.
What's that?
With the new bub.
Oh,
the
yeah.
new baby hasn't been getting a lot of sleep, but it's great.
Love your work, my brother.
No dramas, man. I'll chat to you soon.
Enjoy martial arts tonight, brother. I'm going to talk to you soon. We're going to be in touch again.
No worries, man. All good.
Love your work, bro. Thanks, Michael. Love you, mate. Cheers, brother. Bye-bye.